and welcome to Fanya Mambo Africa. Another busy week in Kenya, of course.
Very busy indeed.
I don't know if you've come across that footage of Rigathi Gachagua, the former DP.
It's unfortunate. I think things are moving too fast, too quickly. That was rubbish.
Who would have organized to have goons attack someone in a burial ceremony?
First and foremost, shame on every young person who allowed themselves to be used in that way. This was a burial. I have kept saying Gachagua is now a private citizen. And every citizen of this country is allowed to attend a burial. So why they found it necessary to disrupt a burial is unfortunate. And whoever it is that did that, because there must be a politician behind him, shame on them. Shame on whoever did not even consider, what if the coffin was hit? What if it was knocked down? What if the family would have to see the shame of now having to pick up the body of their loved one? There are so many things that whoever did that did not think about. Just thinking about how to obstruct Gachagua from addressing mourners, that is the lowest I have seen. It is actually the very lowest. They hurt the family more than they hurt Rigathi Gachagua. He sat there as a private citizen. I wish they allowed the barrier to go on. This is the height of intolerance. It is bad.
Political intolerance is not new in Kenya. And this is not even a campaign season. We're not even close to elections per se. And it's happening. Like, what is this supposed to mean to the public? What is this supposed to mean to the government?
I don't know who said that if a person is impeached, he's not supposed to attend a burial. Because that must be a very stupid way of thinking, and there is no better way to describe that kind of thinking. Whoever did that put a very bad thorn in the flesh of the family. That was bad, whoever it is. And they should be thoroughly ashamed of themselves.
What is it that can be done to do away with this political intolerance, such that politicians are not taking charge of spaces where it shouldn't be happening?
I think people need to realize that there is no election happening in Limuru today. So, and I like the way Mwangi Kibaki used to say, usiku wa talala tu. And he would ignore. I mean, a lot of things happened when Mwangi Kibaki was president. A lot of functions happened, and he let people, he allowed them. I've always told people Uhuru was an extremely tolerant human being. Can you imagine somebody swearing in himself as the people's president at Uhuru Park? And you just tell the policemen, withdraw. And it was fantastic. And they withdrew, and Raila and his people swore themselves in. They danced. I remember there was a water fountain somewhere in town. They took a shower there, some of those young men. They slept on tarmac. They displayed their leaves. Then they went home. And Raila went to his current house, and Uhuru went to State House. And what happened? Uhuru continued being president. Raila continued being the people's president because he was sworn in as the people's president.
I like that it became official. There's a people's president, and then there's a president.
If you want to create, like now, if I decide to call myself the president of my house or the president of my village, who are you to stop me? The Constitution doesn't stop me from calling myself the president of my village. It doesn't stop me from calling myself the president of my county. Raila just called himself president of the Republic of the people. He was not president of the Republic of Kenya. He called himself the people's president. And Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta actually tolerated it. He let it happen. He allowed them to go to Uhuru Park. He allowed them to swear themselves in and then go home. He knew they are going to go home after that. So this is what they should have done. If Rigathi Gachagua had been allowed to sit there, like every other mourner, probably address them, he would have just finished his address and gone home. So I think that was very unfortunate. And when we stop looking at it as a political affair and look at it as a family affected, trying to bury their loved one, and people being intolerant during that burial, that's the lowest we can go to.
So is Rigathi a threat to the government at the moment? Because you see, this is now Limuru. We saw it in Murang'a the other day. We saw it in Embu. Is it that now he's become a threat? Or why are we having such knee-jerk reactions?
The government is forgetting that Rigathi is not their problem. Even if Rigathi was to keep quiet, the mountain is unhappy with this government. Even if Rigathi was to keep quiet, the mountain is unhappy. If I was government, I would be looking for ways to woo the mountain not to fight Rigathi. And to woo the mountain is easy. Deal with their coffee issues. Deal with their tea issues. Deal with their horticulture. I mean, you can take the mountain away from Rigathi Gachagua by doing for the mountain that which the mountain wanted done for them. But what are they doing? Even if they went and killed Rigathi, and I pray they don't, whoever it is that wants to harm him, because when I saw what was done to his car, I was like, no, this is just too much. So even if they killed him, does that endear them to the mountain? I think the question
Maybe
they need to ask
someone is
themselves.
trying to get to be the mountain king or something.
It's a stupid place to be. I have always told people, you are mountain king, and then what?
Influence,
And then what?
have the votes,
And then what?
get to leadership.
I have always told people,
The
that's where
script
we
goes
go wrong.
like that.
You see, there is a new breed of election or voters that are coming in 2027. And I can tell you, 16 million people on that voters register out of the about 20 million will not care where you come from or what region you come from. You've seen people like Okia Omtata announce that they want to be president, and Matiang'i, and people from coast, people from Mombasa, people from Nairobi, people from the mountain are saying they would vote for him. In 2027, there is every likelihood that a guy with no known tribe can become president as long as he speaks to what people want to hear, and people want good governance.
And now that you've brought it up, I have seen 5 people who have actually 6 who have fronted their names. There is Okia Omtata, there is Morara Kebaso, there is Martha Karua, there is Matiang'i, there is Ruto himself, and there is someone else whose name is skipping my mind.
Natembea.
Yes, George Natembea also.
Yeah.
So from all these candidates that have fronted their names, what are your thoughts maybe about each, and who looks like they can actually lead Kenya?
I'll start with the incumbent. If there was an election tomorrow and there were 3 people on the ballot, he would be number 4.
Ouch.
And then I'll go to the rest. The reason they are vying is because they believe there's a vacancy in the presidency. And for sure, there is a vacancy in the presidency during the next election. The way Kenya has been led is way below the expectation of Kenyans. And that's why there's too much hue and cry. You might have seen the amount of political mobilization that was done in Kisumu. And I like the internet. It always brings out what is hidden, and people get to see how the mobilization happens. And there was a lot of AI in the photos. And then again, who are you throwing AI to? These are young Kenyans who are so brilliant. They could identify people with Chinese heads and then African legs. People saw all sorts of things in that photo in Kisumu. And yes, then we got to see the raw videos from phones, and people were heckling. People were not necessarily cheering.
And
they
someone
were
else was
heckling.
giving money.
Yes, and money was changing hands. So it tells you there is a huge vacancy in the presidency. And it's going to be anybody else versus the incumbent, and that anybody else will take over the presidency. That's for sure.
So from the list I've mentioned to you, who would you think would make a good president, and why?
I think let us now start looking at them and knowing them by their fruits. Okia Omtata has been a good fighter for human rights and democracy. What we do not have is a record of him performing as a leader, delivering on services and what.
But he's been delivering in Senate.
Natembea is running his county very well in terms of executive. You see, Natembea has held executive office, so
Yes.
you are able to, it's measurable. Executive things are measurable. You can see a road, you can see a hospital. Legislative work is very theoretical, is very verbal, just speak and do things, but it's a good thing. He's a good fighter. Morara Kebaso is young. That guy is younger than myself. Kenyans would not trust him with leadership at this point in time.
Simply because of his age.
Yes. You see, let me tell you, there's one
But
thing.
the biggest number of voters, not even voters, the average population in Kenya is 19 years.
Let me tell you, if you take a standard 19-year-old, they will tell you that the musician they love, they would vote for him if it was a Kora Awards or whatever. They would vote for that person. But they also know what they want for president. And being young is not one of the qualifications, unfortunately. Just being young and being in the bracket of young people is not one of those things that young people are looking for in a president. They are not that daft.
So you're saying that's how Morara is disqualified, sort of.
He's doing a good job. Let us always give credit where it's due. He's doing a good job. He's tried, he's risked his life, he's done whatever he's done. But when it comes to voting for president, our people have got a different menu altogether, and he's not fitting the bill for now. As for the others, you've just
Martha
seen
and Matiang'i.
Martha, Karua. I have been privileged to have an opportunity to speak to Martha Wangari Karua. And every time I speak to her, she has always talked about the generation to which they are passing the baton. The only reason Mother Karua is in that race is because we, the generation who are now above 40 or in their 40s, have not come out very strongly. And she doesn't see a trustworthy person. Mother Karua, believe you me, and I can speak on her behalf, is the kind of lady, if she saw a 45-year-old or a 40-year-old who is focused and determined and knows where they are going, male or female, she would pass the baton. So it's a challenge to my generation. It's a challenge to the generation that is in their late 30s and 30s to just come out and show seriousness and show credibility and trustworthiness. Mother Wangari Karua is not very keen on becoming president. She's just keen on having the right person becoming president. And I can tell you, she would step down if she saw someone who is worthy of that position.
So in 2 years, are we able to get someone, if already we do not have? You've said Morara is young, so...
We do not need to have a presidential candidate right now. I've always told people that. I think let us put up a fight to have IEBC. That's the first thing we need to do.
And before we go to IEBC, Matiang'i.
Matiang'i delivered when he was in the Ministry of Education. At some point, he kept quiet. He's come out. He's exciting some certain quarters of this country. And others have started discovering that he may have had a corruption scandal here or there, and they are coming out. But he stands a good chance.
Even with the issues of Rivayala, if you remember the story. He was the CS in charge, so you have to carry the blame.
There was Rivayala, and that's why I said he carries with him a mixed bag of good and bad. I mean, people have things they peg on Matiang'i and they will never forgive him for. And they have things they praise him for. This is the season of people coming out and saying they are vying. But at the right time.
Every citizen who wants to run for president, we're always coming up. Someone said Omtata carries a rosary and they have an issue with that. You know, like for every person who's coming out, there's always someone with something about that person. So are we waiting for an angel from heaven to come and lead Kenya?
No. Moi always carried a rungu, and some people had an issue with that. That's their problem. At least he's not carrying something demonic. Yeah, he's always having his rosary. He's had it. If that's what he's believing in, then leave him. I have not seen any Kenyan who lost their life because someone prayed using a rosary. I have not heard of a Kenyan who ended up in a ditch because they stared at somebody who was carrying a rosary. If it was one of those things that people usually say that when you carry, it brings a bad omen, it causes accident, it causes loss of life, then fine. I mean, someone carrying a rosary that has never harmed a fly, what is that? That's nonsensical. In fact, what we should be addressing is he decided to take a photo with someone.
Oh, well, and AI has been used.
And AI has been used to combine the photo into fantastic imaginations. I think Kenyans have a very fertile imagination, which sometimes leads them into very disastrous conclusions. But however, it just goes to tell you what Kenyans do not want. And Kenyans are telling him, Omtata, please don't be seen with certain people. In our view, that might taint your image. It might ruin your reputation.
And he put up a team, which is actually not a presidential. It's just a team to check his viability on the ground. I don't know if you know the people in the team, and one of them is Hanifa, who's well known on the online spaces, and your expectations of that team.
He's a friend. Let's give it up to him. Omtata hasn't stolen public money.
He has saved us public money.
He saved us a lot of public money. He's putting the team he can afford. And he's telling them, go give me an honest opinion of my candidature. I think he deserves our support. In fact, if anything, I think I should call him and ask him whether he has a running mate. Because I also don't have
a candidate.
I don't have, no, not just that. I don't have scandals to my name. Na msinipige picha ya AI. I don't combine mine with someone. I'm not planning to start kissing people right now. But he's worthy. I mean, he's one person I would support.
You'd support.
And I would support him because every other person has got a bad record that taints their image and credibility. Our people, unfortunately, tend to want a presidential candidate they can milk money from in the process. And they tend to say that every other person who doesn't have money is bad. But let us borrow from the US. I think when Obama offered himself, that boy had nothing. That man had zero money. And Americans gave $1, $2, $5.
The guy was a senator before. You can't say he had nothing.
As a senator, they were not stealing. Remember, he started as the equivalent of an MCA in the US before he became a senator. And then when he became senator, Obama didn't have money. He only took his salary as a senator. Which,
but the politics of US is very different in terms of funding. It's the party. It doesn't have to be, it's people who fundraise actually.
He got people's funding. That's what
So what you're saying is we should fundraise for...
Let us support those people who are worthy of support. And let us shame those who've stolen from Kenyans. Full stop.
And that's a very good point, actually. I agree.
Yeah, we support the people who are worthy of it and shame those who have stolen.
Not even a shame. Like maybe jail them.
First, we deny them votes so that they become powerless, and then we jail them after that.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
And key to this thing we are discussing, which is the presidential election, is the IEBC, yes. Which after the Gen Z mandamano, the president had said it would take, I think, 7 or 9 days to constitute. 3 months later, nobody's even talking about IEBC. Why? What are the constitutional timelines?
They did not say the 7 days would run concurrently.
Ah, okay. Oh, my bad. I see.
Maybe they meant
once per month.
Then maybe another day in 2026.
Wow.
However, the Constitution never envisioned a situation where we would stay for a day without IEBC duly constituted. But I want to submit to Kenyans. When the president appointed his deputy, Kindiki Kithure, he said, if you read that statement, that after having conferring with IEBC, and he was cleared by IEBC.
Yes.
Kenyans, the IEBC that cleared Kindiki is enough to clear everybody else. If it was good to clear Kindiki to become deputy president, it should be good for us now to hold by-elections with it. Because our court, and I dare submit to the Chief Justice, our court failed us. They thoroughly and terribly failed us. Because apparently, according to that appointment, because it was read in the morning at around 8, and the impeachment had happened at 11 in the night, IEBC had so efficiently worked in the course
overnight.
Of the night, and they had, cleared him. That IEBC that works efficiently to clear deputy presidents at night is the same IEBC we want to work so efficiently and give us by-elections. We have vacant constituencies. In fact, I was having a conversation with a few constitutional lawyers, and we were saying we need to file that petition in court. For as many constituencies as do not have representatives, and we have lost a few MCAs.
And there's an MP who died, I think, in the first year.
Yes, there's an MP. There's a constituency cause that should be saying we are not going to pay tax because the principle is no tax, no representation, no tax. So what we need to do right now is to petition the courts and to tell them, because IEBC is duly constituted according to you, the courts, and it has cleared Kithure Kindiki, that duly constituted IEBC should give us by-elections.
Hey, Chief Justice.
Yeah, they should give us by-elections. And if they can't give us by-elections, then they must annul the appointment of Kindiki.
Your Lordship, Martha, she's called Martha Koome. Yeah. Maybe you need to come out and tell us where we're going, what is happening actually. And something else that happened is the cancellation of the Adani deals. Finally.
I'm happy that the courts are asking for evidence
yes.
of that cancellation because we don't want verbal things that don't end up being true. But are we supposed to cheer? I don't think so. Are we supposed to celebrate? I don't think so. You create a problem. We tell you it's a problem. You complain about it. Then you end the problem. Then you want us to cheer for you? No, you brought the problem. in the first place.
Why do you think Kenyans complained and they were not listened to? But the US, it took one day for the US to make an announcement that this person is accused of fraud. And the same day, the president cancels the deal. Like, what are the possibilities and theories?
It's because the president I was supporting to win won. Nowadays, I've been wearing a lot of red. I'm happy that the red team won. I think this is a good time for this country because we are in a place where the right things will happen. And I told Kenyans, the price is simple, eternal vigilance. Don't stop. Even if the US hadn't done it, we kept, and every chance we had on TV to talk about Adani, we've spoken about it. On the streets, we speak about it. Everywhere, we speak about it. And these people get to hear, and they know it's not, Kenyans are not happy. Now it's been dropped. And we pray that they don't come back. We need to remove them from Ketrako. We need now to go and hound them out of Shish and Shah and Shif
Taifa.
And Shi with a T at the end and Taifa. All those places, we need to go out there and remove that Adani. And any smell and trace of them has to be taken out.
They're saying that one of the reasons the FBI director was in Kenya at some point was because of the investigation of Adani. And somehow the powers that be knew it was going to happen. So they were maybe trying to chase these deals before, but then again, they were caught up earlier. Have you heard of such a theory?
I hear many theories. Very many. Very, very, very many. The only theory that Kenyans want to hear is Adani must go. Adani, in fact, right now, if there's any smell of them left in this country, it must be fought with everything, including insecticides, so that we never smell of Adani anywhere. So we just don't want to hear that Adani is leaving our airport. We want them to leave Ketrako. We want them to leave Shisha, Taifa Care, everywhere. We don't want anything that looks like Adani in this country.
Will the demands of the court be met? Shall we be told what was... Because number one, I actually never understand how when they sign these deals, they are never made public. But it's the public that funds it through our taxations in some way, even if it's a private partnership. We end up paying for it. We make it very private. And then when it's cancelled, again, it's a private affair, so we don't know. So do you think the court, now that the courts have said we must know what was cancelled, will it be made public?
One of the reasons why we fought Adani is because Kenya Kwanza always remembers to do public participation on what matters to them. The impeachment of Rigiji, they organized public participation overnight. It was happening in every other constituency very quickly. But on Adani, they forgot. Just forget. You can forget. They forgot to do public participation. They just didn't remember. It was not important. 230 billion plus. That's airport alone. Then 97 billion for Ketrako. And then, so it's close to 500 billion worth. Public participation was not important. And Kenyans are saying, we were not privy to that contract. Should there ever come an issue of compensation for cancellation of this deal, we have offered ourselves, we are moving to court. I was even speaking to members of the Law Society of Kenya, and that is going to happen, that we were not privy to that contract as Kenyans. I wish they did public participation in one word. They never did. So whoever did it, either they got any kickbacks or they owe Adani, they will pay from their pockets.
Do you believe that?
We will make it happen.
You have no idea what the contract said. At what point do you dictate then whoever signed is the one who pays? Like, how do we go about it?
That's why we are saying we have no idea what was in the contract. So we are not privy to that contract. Those who are privy to the contract, there's something called privity of contract. That a contract you don't know about shouldn't affect you, especially if you're not a party to the contract. Kenyans are not party to that contract. The individuals who signed that contract are parties to that contract. Deal with those individuals. If they don't pay, take them to a jail in India or somewhere else.
But the individuals who are doing it on behalf of Kenyans.
No.
And the other interesting thing is actually Adani gave a statement after saying they had no business with Kenya in terms of the airport.
They never did it on our behalf.
So what was being cancelled if the company is saying we were not involved, but the president in Parliament is saying any contract with these guys has been cancelled? Was it?
We were never involved in the making, in the signing, in the execution of any contract as Kenyans. We are not privy to those contracts. And we therefore cannot bear the costs of those contracts. We shall all move to court. And we shall all be saying, why are we being told to pay about things we don't know about? We made noise here about Haiti. And we said this thing is not working for Kenya. And we were told that money is going to come from abroad. Now they're in Parliament begging for 2.1 billion.
Yeah, because the CS said we have already spent that.
But why are we spending 2.1 billion of a country that is barely able to pay teachers? I mean, I keep saying, when the interns, medical interns were on the streets, they were looking for 1.4 billion. And I never saw a need from government to do a supplementary budget to raise 1.4 billion for the doctors who are on strike. But there's this urgency to go to Haiti there and recover airports that we shall never use at 2.1 billion. It's our taxpayers' money and we don't want. Haiti is none of our business right now. We don't share a border. We don't trade with them. I always said we have nations that are powerful. Oh, the Chinese army is powerful. Those guys have the money. Why are they not in Haiti? The Russian army is a superpower. Why are they not in Haiti?
They're not part of the UN, maybe.
We people who don't even sell mangoes to Haiti, we don't even buy sweets from Haiti, are busy there. What are we doing there?
Saving a fellow black country? Well, according to the president.
So black is the qualification to send our people to go and die there and to if you want to save anything black, start by saving your own teachers. Right now, university dons have been on strike for a year, for a month. And university learning has not been going on. And we are quiet as if life is normal. And we are busy going to save other black people. Our black people are here, our teachers. Give them that 2.1 billion.
The dons have decided they'll go back, but there's an issue, a strike by doctors, actually. So this vicious cycle keeps...
It's nonsense. That's why I'm saying our priority is upside down. You are busy begging Parliament for 2.1 billion to go and support our soldiers to keep peace in another country, and we are yet to end cattle rustling in our own country.
You know, actually, what shocked me is to hear the CSA, it has already been paid. What they are doing is waiting for the UN to refund that money. And I don't know if with a Trump ascent to power, if those projects end up, because they even refuse to have it as a United Nations peacekeeping mission. So either the cops will just have to come back home, and we went for, I don't know, a mission that...
I think they should be in a parade now, queuing to get into a plane and come back home. We need them better here. Their families need them here. It's not our war. It's not our fight. I am telling you, if it mattered to whoever sent Kenya there, they would send their own sons and daughters, but they don't. We are there to die on behalf of others in a war that doesn't belong to us and that doesn't benefit us.
Okay. Quick question. Following the events that happened in Parliament the other day, do you think our Parliament can actually impeach the president?
No. By law, they are capable. The law says they can impeach the president. By practice, who? They all sing his tune. Let me tell you the kind of Parliament you're dealing with. It's the kind of Parliament that comes and people are dying outside and bullets are being shot to the point that Parliament is being occupied. They are being told, do not pass finance bill. They are asking, what does the president want? They pass finance bill. That was on Tuesday. On Thursday, they go back and pass the same bill, and there are violent protests. Now, that is the Thursday that Parliament was occupied. And then on Friday, the president comes and says, I have suspended the finance bill. They clap for the president. Now he's bringing back parts of that finance bill. They are clapping for him and they will pass them. He comes and tells them, let us impeach my deputy. They all follow suit. He comes and says, Adani is good. They clap for him. He says Adani is cancelled. They clap for him. How do you dare think that those people are capable of even using their mental faculties to even fathom the idea that they could impeach a president? They can't. They usually clap for anything. Even right now, you come and tell them you're bad parliamentarians, they clap. You tell them you are good, they clap. Those are not leaders. We don't need such people in
short,
parliament.
you think they do not have the mental bandwidth to lecture us on
They can't
impeachment.
even fathom what it means to sit down and say Kenya is not in a good place.
So-
They're incapable of making that. There is a few, and I keep saying I thank God that Parliament has got a few members of Parliament who've got a lot going on in between their ears.
And you know,
And then there's a huge number of them who have no idea what they are doing there.
so in countries around Africa, especially West Africa, when such scenarios happened, what we have seen, we ended up having coups in Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, all those other countries there. This is very imaginary, by the way. I hope the government does not think we are organizing a coup. We're just discussing as Kenyans who look at things and think beyond. Is that something that could happen in our country?
First, we have a very professional army. And two, I've always said a horrible government is better than a coup for the time being. We have always wanted peace and stability. We are lucky to have a very vibrant constitution that allows us to keep this government in check. There are so many things they've wanted to do, but they've not done because of public pressure. You've seen a hero. Right now we have a hero, a young man who had lost the bulk of his teeth, and he spoke even without teeth in his mouth about the airport. And he's now been coined as a hero of that fight, and I like that. So we just need to keep this government in check. I will tell KDF, keep your guns.
Do you think there would ever be, this is just imaginary, we had the 1982 attempt. I'm just imagining. I know I respect, by the way, KDF, our armies, kudos, always doing a fantastic job. But do you ever imagine they would be so annoyed or not happy with the way a country is running? Like if they were unhappy, what would they do?
They leave it to us.
Us,
yes,
the citizens.
We are telling the army, leave it to us. We hold the highest office in this country. The office of a citizen is the highest office in the land. The office of a citizen, you can ask why the moon is not blue and why it's pink and why it's not purple. The office of a citizen can ask the president why he wore a pink tie and not a blue one. The office of a citizen is the highest office in the land. We can ask questions about anything, including global warming and asking why potatoes are nowadays pink and not white as they used to be long ago. So we have the power as citizens to keep this government in charge. All we need to do is to keep reminding KDF, we want you to stay in those barracks, and when it's time to go and fight our external enemies, we'll tell you. But for us, please, don't go. Don't even get that temptation. Because we've still failed republics, and they are horrible. It never ends well. It never. So from where I sit, even us, we shall fight KDF if they try to overthrow the government. We will go to them. We will tell them we are coming with stones and you are coming with rifles. We will not allow them to overthrow the government. And we will not allow them to even imagine or think or even try to dream that they could overthrow the government. We will beat them and tell them to go back to the barracks. Because what we want is to remind them that this is a citizen-led country. And we want democracy at the heart of everything.
But the imagination that when you have an army junta in power, then you have problems. Sometimes I look at it and I'm like, I don't think that's usually the it. Because when I look at Burkina Faso in the last now, maybe 2.5 years, the transformation that has happened, having an army person in power, of course it's illegal, it was a coup. But the country has changed like the days of Thomas Sankara. So what is better?
You see, the problem with the army is the unpredictability.
Yes.
Idi Amin Dada.
Okay. I gave the example of Sankara. Now you're going to the extreme.
Idi Amin Dada was hitherto unknown.
Yes.
You see, for example, if the army was to go that direction, and I keep praying they never do, the person who comes there might be someone who is even 10 times more horrible than Idi Amin Dada. We are better off being left as citizens to choose one of our own that we can hold to account. The beauty of having a citizen becoming a president is that citizens can hold them to account, is that citizens can be vigilant with them. And that's why we are telling KDF, if they try to overthrow the government, us as citizens will come with stones. We know your weapons are superior, but we'll come with stones and at least we'll make our noise known. And we shall even call our heroes, like that young man without teeth, to just tell you, using that very mouth, that this is wrong.
Yeah.
I think we have never wanted anarchy. And I keep saying this many times. Yes, we fight, and yes, we want this country, but we've never wanted anarchy.
We never want anarchy.
No.
But we're in a country where just the other day, Kizza Besigye was abducted in a country that is not anarchist, that is very diplomatic, democratic.
That is why I have told you many, many times, and I will keep repeating. The Kenya Kwanza administration has failed on all fronts.
How is that looking for us from within like our area
It
in
is
terms of our
bad.
diplomacy?
It is bad because any person, you see, Kizza Besigye first is not rumored to have sneaked into Kenya. He is known to have come into Kenya legally. He is known to have gone through an airport. He is known to have, you know, and I
Even he is known physically.
Yes, and I had them say he's a threat to national security and so on. And then I asked, so they said they found a pistol on him and
the PS said he was not aware he was around. He did
and
not.
an aide. So I asked, wait a minute. So a country with an army as good as ours is worried about a 60-something-year-old man with one aide and a pistol. What kind of national threat to national security is that? I wish they were saying they found Kizza Besigye with some automatic rifles that had been found in Jimmy Wanjigi's house sometime. The house with a bunker where nobody finds him. If that was the situation, then yes. One pistol, and he's old, and he's got one aide.
And he was just coming for a book launch.
And no single round was fired. I think that was overzealous on the part of the policemen.
But why is it that the police are abducting foreigners? There are a few. Last month, there were Turkish foreigners who were abducted. The same month, some Ugandans were abducted in Kisumu. What is that saying about how we are running our systems, really?
Rigiji once went to Mombasa and said something about our intelligence. And at first I thought, he's an insane deputy president. He must forgive me for thinking that way. Because after he was done saying that, the Gen Z protests came. And then we heard that our national intelligence, Mwaura, the government spokesman, said the Russian government is funding the demos.
Did you hear he was removed in a WhatsApp group?
Yeah. Then somebody else came and said Ford Foundation. Then somebody else came and said Uhuru Kenyatta, and he was abroad. And all sorts of things. And then I said, if this is the intelligence we are relying on, then I think an army can walk through this country and end the other side, and we won't know that they walked through this country. I felt for the first time that Gachagua needed to have been vindicated for his words. When Kizza Besigye comes to a country like this, I think it would have been in the interest of the country to allow him to attend the book launch, finish, then when he's done, they call him, they tell him, when you're done, let us know. Or just keep tabs on him. And then they tell the Ugandan authorities, he's left so peacefully, he's taken the plane, he's not even aware you're waiting for him. And so when the plane lands, because hakuna stage huko kwa hewa, it's not going to stop anywhere. When they land in Uganda, so there are many ways of doing it. If I was running NIS, I think I would have said, okay, just keep tabs on him. Just keep tabs on the guy until he's done with the trip. And then escort him to the airport peacefully and tell him, in fact, even you can abduct him, hold him, and then take him to the airport and tell him, pretend that everything is okay. And then wave. They even allow him to speak to the press and say he's going back to his country, Uganda, and he's happy. But when he lands, Museveni is waiting for him. So there are many ways of doing the same thing, but I think how this was handled was not good.
What would be your final message to Kenyans as we wrap up?
I think my final message to Kenyans is that let us be eternally vigilant. This administration is amazing. It's amazing in how deep they can go to make you sad. You think they've gone deep, they go deeper. Next, they go deeper. They go so deep, they sink every day. And you're like, how much depth of bad do you guys have? How much depth? Because every single day they go deeper, deeper, deeper into bad things. I take a breath sometimes. They can go deep. They have a lot of depth for bad. And we keep sinking with them and trying to bring them back to where humanity is. Because humanity is here, Kenya Kwanza is huku chini. And you keep going down for them to bring them back to humanity. They take you deeper with other more horrible ideas. And even the capacity to conceptualize such inhumane ideas, I can't explain. Like, if you want a directory of the most inhumane things that can ever happen to human beings, they create them and they carve them, and I think they look and say, can anybody beat our record in just making
Wow.
inhumane ideas? And if
Not
they
a
find
laughing
somebody
matter, but
beating
it
their
sounds
record,
funny.
if they find someone beating their record, they go back and create more inhumane ones and sit and say, in the Guinness Book of World Record, if histories are ever written about governments, nobody will beat us in the field of having inhumane ideas.
You know, you've reminded, there's a quote that was said by Michelle Obama at some point. When they go low, we go high. Now, these ones, when they go low,
we have to go
we
for
go
them.
lower.
We have to go for them, try to bring them and tell them, hey,
What's going
even
on?
hell is not that low. This is too low. It's deep and it's inconceivable. We sit sometimes and ask, yeah, a human being can actually conceptualize such ideas.
Yeah.
And come and speak about them during the day. In fact, if I was them, I would only be saying such things at night. Cameras on, lights off. But the fact that they even have courage to say them during the day, you're like, whoa, and you have courage and you have guts, you people. You're special breeds. They are really special. We have to write their names in a really special book. And when they die, because one day they will die, let us reserve a special place for them in Heroes Corner so that Kenyans will be told there existed human beings whose depth of bad was so high, they are heroes.
They are heroes in a very bad way. Anyway, thanks so much for coming through. It's always a pleasure to have you around. Thanks for watching. I hope as a Kenyan, you're seeing what to take. You're seeing what to do to, especially for the better. Now that people have started coming out of who wants to be president, it's actually a very good chance. We have 2 years to gauge and see who among all these people we can trust this country with. Yeah, even the sitting president is part of it. So if you feel you can trust him, that's up to you. If you feel you trust Martha, Omtata, Morara, whoever it is that you feel can trust Kenya, please, by all means, vote for them. However, we will not allow you to vote for bad people because you have a voter's card. And the other thing I need to keep reminding, especially the young people, the day IEBC opens their sites for people to register as voters, this is your only opportunity to change the country. Ensure you go, register, vote. And from that, we can speak of change or a better country. Thanks for watching to the end. Yes, you were saying?
Speak about IEBC in 30 seconds.
Yes.
They have this thing they used to call a BVR kit.
Yes.
It was for checking whether it is you. We need to change that in the law.
And use?
So that we put something that checks your common sense quotient. So that if they say you don't meet the threshold to have a voter's card. Honestly,
you're kept away.
The fact that we are all human and the fact that we are all entitled to a vote does not mean that we all meet the common sense quotient
we need
for
to
having
keep
a voter's card in our pocket. So we tell some of them, we try again next time. You know, the way visa is not given to everyone.
I agree.
I think we need to have something that says, hey,
that one, IQ is not
you might vote for us, the wrong one.
Yeah, because we have so many getting us in the wrong. Anyway, thanks for watching to this end. We will see you on the next episode, and let's keep interacting in the comment section.